Starting off with the Bretons, the half-elf humans from High Rock. If you're coming from Skyrim and loved magic, these are your kind of people. They get a huge 50 magicka and a 50% resistance to magic, as well as solid boost to intelligence and willpower. The best class to use here is Mage or Spellsword, and the best burst sign for the Breton would be the Apprentice for more magicka, or the Atronach if you're a veteran and you're feeling brave. With the Atronach, your magicka pool becomes massive, but you don't regen it naturally, so you'll have to balance some potions and sigil stones. Otherwise, the Apprentice will give you more magic without the recharge shenanigans. The Dunmer. Angsty, red-eyed, and always talking like they have beef with everyone. They do come with a handy 75% fire resistance, bonuses to destruction magic and sneak, which makes them pretty decent at both magic and stealth options. The best class to use for a Dunmer is the Nightblade or the Assassin, and the Steed or the Shadow is probably your best burst sign to use. This will help you move a lot faster if you choose the Steed, but the Shadow will also give you invisibility on demand. Altmer are the tall, smug, and slightly radioactive elves from Somerset Isle. They get plus 100 magicka, which is huge, but they do suffer from weakness to fire, frost, shock, and disease. Pretty much every magical element you'll get hit by. The best class is just going Mage with them, as well as the best burst sign being the Atronach, which can be a little tough for new players. Because you can stack Atronach with that 100 bonus magicka, you've essentially got like 300 magic at level 1. You'll have to chug a lot of potions and absorb spells, but you can have so many capabilities to just keep casting forever. If you've loved being a stealthy archer in Skyrim, meet the original sneaky boys. Wood Elves, or Bosmers, get bonuses to marksman, sneak, and 50% resistance to disease and poison, which can be a ranger's dream. The best classes here to use are Thief or Assassin, and the best burst sign is also the Thief or the Shadow. With the Thief sign, you can get a juicy boost to agility and speed, which will help you with your critical hits and sneaky approaches. And the Shadow gives you once a day invisibility, so you can combine that with some poison, or just some regular stealth to maximize your positioning and your damage output. Lizard folks from the Black Marsh, Argonians are weirdly overpowered in Oblivion. They can breathe underwater, they resist disease, and they get good bonuses to speed, agility, and sneak, which makes their best classes either the Scout or the Thief, as well as their best signs being the Thief or the Steed. Just because these guys are natural adventurers, you can play them quick as moving dungeon delvers, treasure hunters, or hit-and-run assassins. Plus, being immune to drowning is way more useful than you'd think, because there's a lot of underground and underwater alien ruins you can find if you go swimming. Khajit. Fast, sneaky, and literally with night vision built in. They also get big bonuses to agility, speed, sneak, and acrobatics. You can think of them as a glass cannon of stealth. The best classes to use for them is the Thief or the Acrobat, and their best sign would probably be the Thief or the Shadow as well. If you like them in Skyrim, you'll like them in Oblivion as well. They don't have great athletics, but they're mobile and deadly in the shadows for sure. Nords in Oblivion are pretty simple. They've got big muscles, big axes, and big frost resistance. They get a 50% resistance specifically, as well as bonuses to strength and endurance, because they just love smashing things. The best classes here, obviously, are the Warrior or the Barbarian, as well as the best burst signs being the Warrior or the Lady. Because with the Warrior, you'll end up hitting like a truck right out of the sewer gate, and with the Lady, you can gain some endurance for health and willpower for regen, which is very helpful in long fights. Orcs in Oblivion aren't just angry tanks, they're angry tanks with Berserk mode. That's a once-in-a-day ability that boosts strength and endurance, but it does lower your defense temporarily. So you kind of turn into the Hulk as long as you keep your skin green like orcs normally have. The best class here is the Crusader or the Warrior, as well as the best burst signs being the Warrior or the Lord. You can pick the Lord to stack even more durability with the healing power and resistance to fire, or you can just go straight offense with the Warrior and smash everything with the Pulse. Redguards are fast, deadly, and they can even be tanky. They've got the best endurance in the game. They also come with a 50% resistance to both poison and disease, as well as the Adrenaline Rush skill, which will turn you into a sprinting death machine. The best classes to use with Redguard are Warrior or Scout, and the best burst signs are the Warrior or the Lady. Redguards are just natural combat killing machines, so if you go with a melee build, Redguard's never a bad choice. Imperials are the jack of all trades and the masters of diplomacy. They also get bonuses to mercantile, speechcraft, and heavy armor, which makes them great for role-playing and flexible playstyles. For their best classes, probably the Crusader or the Battlemage, even though the Battlemage isn't one of my favorite classes by any means to use. And the best burst signs here are probably the Lover or the Warrior, so keep those in mind if you choose to pick an Imperial. With the Oblivion remaster right around the corner, I thought it'd be a great idea to go through all the burst signs in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, ranking them from what I feel is the worst sign to what I feel is the best sign, basing them all out of 10 on combat builds, stealth builds, and magic builds. Starting with number 13, we have the Tower. The Tower sign is situational at best. Sure, unlocking a lock once a day is neat early on, and the reflect damage is okay, but it's just not impactful for any build. Does it have great utility? Yeah, maybe. Strong build potential? No, not really. For combat builds, I'd rank it at a 2 out of 10. Stealth builds, I'd give it the 4 out of 10 just for the unlocking capability, and magic would put it 3 out of 10. Falling in at number 12 would be the Lover's sign. The paralyzed skill is super strong, but the fatigue drain makes it hard to follow up with. You basically stun someone, and then you just don't have a lot to work with at that point. It's not ideal in a fight. It can be kinda good for sneak builds, and it's a fun gimmick, but it's not practical for a long-term sign. Combat builds, I'd put it at a 3 out of 10. Stealth builds, I'd put it at a 5 out of 10. And for magic builds, I'd land it at a 2 out of 10. Number 11, we've got the Ritual. A healing power is nice with the Blessing of Mara, and Mara's gift is kind of cool, but it does fall off hard later. It's great for role-playing characters maybe, but it's not good for min-maxing any specific type of build. Combat builds, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. Stealth, I'd give it a 3 out of 10. And magic, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Number 10 would be the Lady. You get plus 10 willpower and endurance, and these stats aren't bad at all. In fact, endurance helps you get more health over time, and the willpower boosts magicka regen. But this sign doesn't really specialize in anything, which is why I kind of rank it lower overall. Combat builds, you'd find a 6 out of 10 for this, stealth 4 out of 10, and magic builds a 5 out of 10. Now we're getting to the middle of the road signs, starting at number 9 with the Atronach. You get 150 magicka, no magicka regeneration, and a 50% spell absorption. This sign is super polarizing. It's great for veterans, not great for beginners. It gives you an insane magicka pool and spell absorption, but it removes the natural regen you have. If you know how to work around that through potions and resting and all that kind of stuff, it can really be amazing. Otherwise, you're going to struggle quite a bit and you're going to hate yourself. Combat builds, you get a 2 out of 10. Stealth builds, 1 out of 10. But magic builds here get a 9 out of 10 if you can use this properly. Number 8 would be the Apprentice. You get 100 magicka, but you also get 100% weakness to magic. This is something I consider high risk, high reward. If you're a skilled mage who can avoid the magical threats, this is a fantastic pick for you, but the weakness is literally so brutal. It makes enemy spells hit way harder, but a good choice would be picking a race that gives you some natural magic resistance as well to kind of counteract this. Combat builds give you a 3 out of 10. Stealth, I'd put at a 2 out of 10. And magic, I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Number 7 is the Steed, giving you plus 20 speed. This sign is super underrated. Speed helps you move faster, dodge attacks, and reposition in combat. It's especially good for stealth builds or for hit and run characters. Those are typically some of my favorite ones to make too. Combat builds, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Stealth builds definitely gets a 7 out of 10, but magic builds gets a 4 out of 10. Number 6 in the sign list would be the Warrior. You get plus 10 strength and endurance, which is very solid and straightforward. If you want a classic fighter or a tanky melee build, this one gives you a great head start. Is the sign itself kind of boring? Yeah, but it's definitely effective because of those strength and endurance modifiers being so important to your leveling, your carry weight, your health, and so much more. Combat builds get a good 8 out of 10 on this. Stealth, I'd put it at a 3 out of 10. And magic, I'd give it 2 out of 10. Now we're getting to our top tier signs here. These are the burst signs that really shine. These offer powerful bonuses with almost little to no downside to them. Starting at number 5, we've got the Mage to give you a bonus 50 magicka. This is simple and efficient. There's no downsides, it's just a clean magic boost. It's less risky than the Apprentice or the Atronach, and it's perfect for a balanced caster or a beginner wanting to learn magic. Combat, I'd give it a 4 out of 10. Stealth would be a 3 out of 10, but magic is definitely a solid 8 out of 10 for that. Number 4 would be the Thief, giving you plus 10 agility, speed, and luck. A triple stat boost makes this burst sign a fantastic choice for stealth builds, one of the best, but it's also useful for hybrids. Luck can affect a lot of things under the hood too, including critical hits and other things like that, so it really adds in that extra layer that you never know how much impact it's doing, but it's always doing something and it's good to have more of it. Combat builds, I'd give it a 5 out of 10. Stealth builds, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. And for magic builds, 5 out of 10. Number 3 would be the Moon or Shadow. This gives you invisibility for 60 seconds, which is excellent for stealth players. You get full invisibility for a whole minute once per day. It's great for assassinations, escape, or setup. Super versatile. If you get into the Dark Brotherhood questline, this can make the early ones super easy. Combat builds, put it at a 5 out of 10. Stealth definitely gets a 10 out of 10. And magic would be a 5 out of 10. Number 2 would be the Serpent. You get the Serpent spell, which is paralyzing and poison, which bypasses the resistance. This is an underrated gem because of that ignoring resistance. It lets you take down enemies with paralyze and poison and works on everything. It's a stealth player's best friend and surprisingly useful even in combat if you find yourself pressed with multiple enemies. Just paralyze and poison one, focus on the other one, and then go back to the first one. Combat builds, I put this at a 7 out of 10. Stealth builds, easy 9 out of 10. And magic builds even get a 6 out of 10 for this one. Now, my number 1, my best burst sign, you'll have to hear me out on this one, is the Lord. You get the Blood of the North, which heals 90 HP over time, and you do get a Trollkin, which is a 25% weakness to fire. Yes, you do get that small fire weakness, but the 90 hit point heal spell, usable pretty much constantly, is insanely powerful with any build. At the end of the day, there's one thing that wins any fight no matter what enemy you fight, and that's healing. If you can keep yourself healed, keep your health high, no matter how long a fight takes, you'll win. And that's why I put it at the best burst sign, because no matter what, you're in a solid position for it. Combat builds would get a 9 out of 10, and stealth and magic builds both would get an 8 out of 10 for this. And that's the full ranking, at least my opinion, of Oblivion's burst signs. Whether you're summoning Daedra, slitting throats in the shadows, or cleaving bandits in two, the burst sign can make or break your build. With all the excitement surrounding the Oblivion remake, I thought it'd be a fun idea to go over Bethesda's pre-built classes in Oblivion and put them in a tier list for your viewing pleasure. We're going to break it down into combat, stealth, and magic class capabilities, and we'll rank them all from S to F. Let's get started. If you're in the mood to roleplay as the Noble Knight of Cyrodiil, the Knight class might just be for you. While it lacks a ranged major skill, the Knight skills are all fairly solid. Illusion and Speechcraft allow you to increase your personality attribute, which you can raise high enough to have bandits and even wildlife become non-hostile to your presence. Blade, Heavy Armor, and Block also make for an effective melee character. The only real con is how attribute-reliant the class is, as you'll want to increase strength, personality, and endurance attributes at essentially every level in order to stay effective. Without metagaming, this is a fairly hard goal to accomplish. But because of its versatility and ability to tank a lot of damage, but lacking in range and magic, I'd put this class in the B rank as a great class to use if you really want to just focus on that raw melee power. Next up is the Rogue. The Rogue you would think would be a stealth specialization, but that's where you're wrong. The Rogue has a range of varying abilities, and you'll notice that it comes with illusion and alchemy magic to keep you hidden and make some vile poisons to use against your foes. Things to note for this class, however, is that it lacks a ranged major skill, which really prevents it from being a top tier class in my opinion. It also lacks a good sneak, which means you'll be relying on that illusion magic to really sneak around and not some lightly padded slippers. This makes you more like a lightweight fighter rather than a true rogue in my traditional D&D style, at least in my head. So I would say the Scout class might be a better choice to use if this type of playstyle appeals to you. Because other classes do what the Rogue does better, I'm just going to move it into the D category for now. We can take a look at one class everyone knew was coming in this section, the Warrior. The Warrior is an expert with essentially every type of martial weapon, but that does actually come with a drawback. There's no dual wielding in Oblivion compared to Skyrim, which many of you may be familiar with. That means that having a variety of martial weapons is only so effective because you can only use one weapon type at a time. It includes the hand-to-hand skill as well, which is one of the least effective skills in Oblivion in my opinion. It also lacks a major skill involving ranged, such as marksman or destruction magic. The Warrior isn't all bad though. It's an amazing class for those new to Oblivion, as it's very easy to play, especially with an endurance boost and 2 endurance related major skills. Just make sure you always add to your endurance for every level up, and most enemies the game throws at you won't be enough to take you down. If magic interests you, however, I would move to another class. Because of the beginner-friendly atmosphere this class brings, I'm going to put Warrior in A tier, as picking this and smashing stuff is all you really need to do in this playstyle to succeed. Alright, let's talk about Barbarians. Barbarians in Oblivion were designed to trade survivability for damage output, but the only real problem with that is in Oblivion, the Barbarian really doesn't output that much more damage over something like the Warrior or the Spellsword or the Knight. So really, the versatility that comes with it isn't quite there. Not to say that they're necessarily a bad class, it's just that there are other classes that do it better in just about every category that the Barbarians appeal to. That's why I'm going to put the Barbarians at a high C, low B area. Scouts in Oblivion are speedy duelists that focus on movement and avoiding attacks, rather than taking them on directly. They do lack a major skill in the range category, which always did confuse me in Oblivion, but they make up for it with athletics and acrobatics. In order to best use this class, it can be a little tricky. You need to do some min-maxing in your attributes, especially in the early game, to really get yourself going, and focus on your endurance, speed, and strength classes whenever you can. It can be tough raising endurance as a scout, as you won't find yourself blocking all that much with all your acrobatics you can do, and light armor only does so much. Because you have to min-max this class and it's one of the tougher ones to get going, this class will fall into a C class. There's just other classes that do it better. Archer's up next. This is a solid class for players who don't really care about magic, but like the versatility of staying back but getting close when you need to. They have solid major skills, minus hand-to-hand of course, solid attributes, and you can get some great attribute bonuses on level ups from leveling those minor skills. Compared to the other classes, the Archer does lack due to having no school of magic under its belt, as magic is dangerously overpowered in Oblivion. If you want to use an Archer, make sure you use those repair hammers you find in the game to level up your armorer skills so you can get those larger endurance bonuses when you level up. For me, Archer lines up at a solid B tier. Crusader's up next, but you might as well just call it Bethesda's version of Paladin, because that's what this class essentially is. Crusaders utilize blunt weapons and restoration magic to deal damage and keep themselves alive, and their heavy armor skill gives you great defense to take a ton of damage with. Some of the drawbacks with the Crusader is that the willpower attribute can be difficult to level at times, unless you're using alteration or destruction magic as well. This class is a fairly strong option for newer players, as you'll find yourselves getting solid attribute bonuses on level ups, which will happen fairly often due to having major skills that tend to get levels quick. Crusader definitely falls into an A tier. We've talked about smacking a lot of enemies with a lot of different types of hard weapons, but what if you're the type to avoid conflict, grab everything in sight, but never be seen? Well, Bethesda got you covered, and we'll go over some of the stealth-based classes now. We'll start with the classic class we all expect to see here, the Thief. Let's just get this out of the way. There's not much to be said here about the Thief. It's got a range of skills you would expect to see, but something you may notice is a lack of illusion magic and blade skill. For a class that wants to get close and personal for pickpocketing, not having a close weapon skill is a significant drawback, as well as not having illusion magic to get away early game. There's other classes we'll cover that does what the Thief does but better, so this will fall into the F tier because there's so many better options available. Just don't use the Thief. I wouldn't say the Pilgrim is the worst class, but it wouldn't be getting picked first for kickball, that's for sure. The Pilgrim has a really strange combination of attributes and major skills, which makes this a pretty undesirable class. They use blunt weapons but have no strength major stats, so damage output's pretty minimal. Most of their major skills increase attributes that don't get enhanced with the default bonuses, and the only way to really level endurance for this class is through block. Because of this class just being lukewarm, it falls into the D tier. The Monk has some fantastic skills, but with the hand-to-hand skill just given the lowest damage output in the game by far, there's not much here to let the Monk shine. You have enhanced mobility, but that comes with the drawback of not having many options for training your endurance up. This makes the Monk a literal glass cannon build at higher levels, and if you don't level up properly, when the enemies scale, the difficulty will become extremely difficult. Because of this, Monk falls into the C tier. There's other classes you'll have more fun doing this with. The Acrobat class is made up entirely of skills that you'll almost certainly find yourself using in gameplay, which helps you to level quickly. That'd be great, if all your skills weren't only focused on agility, but having your main damage skill requiring the strength attribute, something conveniently missing from the favorite attributes. Acrobat will fall into a C tier, as it isn't exactly a bad class due to the quick leveling you can get, but a class like a Bard or a Spellsword would just be a better option. Up next is one of the more unique classes that you'll find in the list. The Agent focuses on manipulating people to win fights, with combat or using speechcraft whenever it's able. The combination of Marksman and Illusion is a great pairing, as you can set yourself up for success very easily by planning out each encounter, then utilizing your range of magic to crowd control or sneak past certain enemies you don't want to fight. This class is not the most beginner-friendly class, but can be a fantastic setup for players who like to sneak but want more versatility than some of the other stealth-focused classes. Agent gets an A tier. Assassins operate in the shadows, focusing on skills such as sneak and alchemy to enhance the utility of their blades and bows. As far as stealth characters go, you won't find many better options than the assassin. You have ranged and melee combat options, good major skills, and have a great roster of minor skills that allow you to get solid attribute bonuses when you level up. Just be sure to increase your agility whenever possible, as this stat plays a huge role in how stealthy your assassin ends up being. Because of this, the assassin is also an A tier. If you're new to Oblivion, this next one's going to surprise you. A bard in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion will not be running around with a lute, playing melodies and sweeping damsels off their feet. In this game, the bard cleverly uses illusion spells and alchemy to do the charming or eliminating. Playing as a bard, you can use illusion spells to crowd control enemies. Blade and block allow you to be a solid melee build as well. While it doesn't have a ranged major skill, illusion handles that need and makes destruction or marksman less of a requirement. If you're the type of player who loves getting into character and likes getting crafty to solve combat in creative ways, this class might just be for you. Bard for me falls into the S tier, as in my opinion it is the best default class to use if you're going with the stealth specialization. We've covered smacking people with weapons, sneaking past them with stealth, but there's one category we've yet to cover, and this one's a doozy. That's right, magic. Now, in the Elder Scrolls Oblivion, you can craft your own spells, so magic can become dangerously overpowered in this game. You can create magic arrows that'll send enemies to the stratosphere when they get hit, as well as countless other options, literally hundreds. So without further ado, let's jump into the magic classes and see how they stack up compared to the other ones. Alright, let's just get this out of the way. The healer sucks. The only damage output the healer has is destruction magic, but I'll note illusion can be used as crowd control as well. You have no proficiency with any armor or weapons, and your major skills require some serious metagaming to increase other important stats, such as endurance. This class doesn't even include a conjuration major skill, which would be a huge benefit to this class as you could literally summon minions and heal them, which is like the whole point of a healer. The healer is an F tier because there's far too many drawbacks with almost no positives for the class. The Battlemage sounds cool, but it's just a toned down spellsword essentially, both in the combat skills and as far as magic prowess goes. Having a lower willpower means spellcasting is tougher in the early game, and this class doesn't include any skills that increase your endurance. Battlemage will also get an F for this reason. There's just other magic classes that can do this, but a lot better. Now, if spells are all you want to do, then the Mage is for you. This is one of the better pre-made classes in the game, and that's largely due to the fact that you have all major skills in literally every school of magic, which can be insanely overpowered. Both favorite attributes will get great bonuses by utilizing your magic, and there's so much versatility here in spell selection for almost any encounter. You may have a tough time getting started at the early game because spells can be expensive, especially if you have a low mercantile skill. So take full advantage of your conjuration magic, or focus on leveling endurance skills, because at the higher levels, the lack of endurance can make things difficult. All things considered, the Mage falls as a solid A tier in this list, just due to the pure versatility that comes with their spell selection. The Nightblade is a solid hybrid between speed and magic. This class relies more on the speed over its defense to avoid damage, and uses blade and destruction skills to deal it. Dunmer are great choices for this class, as they get natural bonuses to both blade and destruction as well, giving you a straight start at dealing solid damage immediately out of the sewer gate. I'll do a future video on the racial bonuses that each race and gender get, so definitely subscribe so you won't miss that video when that comes out. You may want to consider leveling armor skill with this class as well, as that will help give you some endurance bonuses when you would otherwise find yourself lacking. The Nightblade falls into B tier, as it requires some metagaming in order to really increase your endurance, and if you want a combination of magic and combat, there really are better options. Whereas Nightblade was a mix of combat and magic, the Witch Hunter is a mix of ranged and magic. The major skills are solid, but like the Nightblade, you don't have a skill to boost that endurance attribute. Similar to the Nightblade, you'll find yourself using armor or wearing some heavy armor here and there to address the issue. With that considered, the Witch Hunter is still a solid medium-range class to use, utilizing Conjuration to keep the enemies away while they have combat and magic options to deal the damage. Witch Hunter gets an A, as you do have more survivability over the Nightblade. The Sorcerer is one of my favorite default classes. One thing you may notice from the Mage class is a swap out between Illusion Magic and Heavy Armor. This is a fantastic difference though, as this allows you to increase your Endurance stat much quicker. You also get Endurance as a favorite attribute, which helps the Sorcerer be one of the best melee casters, and gives you the ability to swap your playstyle midway through the game, making it one of the best beginner-friendly classes available. Sorcerer gets an easy S tier rating, as it's one of the best classes you can get outside of making your own. By far, my favorite, and in my opinion, the best class in the game for pre-made classes is the Spellsword. This class combines blade and magic equally to make combat a breeze. It has excellent major skills and attributes to help you level up those cores, such as heavy armor and block for endurance, and destruction and restoration for willpower. You'll find yourself in melee range most of the time, so the blade skill will level up very quickly. With great survivability, solid options at both range and close quarters, awesome major skills for leveling, the Spellsword is nothing short of incredible. The Spellsword for sure gets an S tier. And there we have it. If you feel that a class was put in the wrong tier, let me know in the comments and we can talk about it. Thanks so much for watching the video. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing. Good luck out there, adventurers. May Akatosh guide your way. We've covered Bethesda's pre-built classes earlier, and now we're breaking down the best ways to create your own class for combat, stealth, or magic, and we're going deep. We're talking, in my opinion, the best skills, attributes, races, and even the best burst signs to pick for each playstyle. Everything you need to get started. Let's jump right into it. If you like getting up close and personal, swinging heavy weapons, and taking hits like a beast, this one here is for you. Here's how to build the ultimate character that's focused on combat. As for which race to choose, choosing a Redguard for its strong starting stats and the adrenaline rush power, an Orc for the berserk power and great strength and endurance, or the Nord for strong melee stats and frost resistance, are all great choices. The best burst signs to choose would be the Warrior, because you get plus 10 strength and endurance, which is a solid, safe pick. The Lady would give you plus 10 endurance and willpower, which is awesome for some early health growth in the game. And the Lord, which is a personal favorite of mine because it adds a powerful heal ability, although it does come with a bit of a fire weakness. For your favorite attributes, you'll want to primarily choose for a combat-focused character. Strength, so that way you'll get more melee damage and increased carry weight to carry all that loot and armor that you'll be needing. And also endurance, as that increases your health and helps boost your heavy armor skill growth. In terms of your 7 major skills, you always want to start with a weapon skill, which you can either choose blade or blunt. This is really a personal preference of yours. I'm going to go with blade because that's just my personal choice. Heavy armor is another great skill to use because that'll help give you and maximize your armor that you can have. Plus some of that armor looks super cool. Block is a great skill no matter what you use, blade or blunt. More often than not, you'll be blocking with that or a shield. So getting that block skill to help level up will be great. Armor is a great one to help keep your materials and all your equipment repaired on the field, as well as athletics because you'll be doing a lot of running around as well. Now, you can either do marksman or alchemy for either a ranged approach as a secondary attack style, or if you want alchemy, you can utilize that to create health potions, or really a whole bunch of poisons and other stuff like that to equip on your weapons to do even more damage. We're going to choose alchemy for fun here, just because why not? And the last skill I like to choose is Restoration. This will help you, especially if you don't choose Alchemy. Restoration will help give you some healing spells, which when you're in the front lines and you're in the thick of it, is always super helpful. Next, we're getting sneaky. If you like avoiding direct confrontation, backstabbing or shooting from the shadows, or looting everything that's not nailed down, this stealth build might be for you. Some of the best races to choose for a stealth-based character would be the Khajit for its high sneak and agility, the Wood Elf, otherwise known as Bosmer, for its great marksman and speed bonuses, or the Argonian because it's fast, stealthy, resists disease, and can breathe underwater. The best burst signs to use for a stealth character would probably be the Steed, which is an underrated one for plus 20 speed. This is great for some hit and run playstyles and gives you a naturally faster sneak for you. The Thief is another awesome one because it gives you plus 10 to agility, speed, and luck, which is all of the stats that you want to care about. And the Shadow would give you the Moon Shadow ability, which lets you once a day cast invisibility for 60 seconds, letting you get in the perfect spot or take that one item you just can't get. The best attributes to use with a stealth-based character is going to be the obvious ones here. Agility, because that'll help improve your accuracy and boost your critical stealth skills. And speed, to help you stay fast and outmaneuver your enemies. Your 7 major skills that you'll want to pick, starting with one of the obvious ones here, would be Sneak, followed by Security, because that'll help you sneak by undetected and pick locks. Marksman is a personal favorite of mine because I don't think you can use stealth without using a bow as well, in my opinion. I like to take Light Armor because you don't really want to carry around heavy armor, and that'll make far too much noise for sneaking around. Illusion is another one I like. I like to be able to go invisible, charm, or silence whenever needed. And then we're going to finish up with Acrobatics, so that way you can jump higher distances and get places you otherwise couldn't. And we're also going to go ahead and we're going to choose Alchemy, so that way you can make those poisons and things like that to stun, paralyze, and put your enemies to sleep, getting by undetected here. Last but not least, we've got ourselves the Masters of the Arcane Arts. Mages in Oblivion are some of the most versatile and powerful characters when you build them right. Here's how you can create a true magical powerhouse with little to no effort. Choosing your race for a magic-based character is pretty easy. You can go with a Breton for the bonus magic and 50% magic resistance for great survivability, or the High Elf, which will give you 100 magic, but it does give you weaknesses to every type of elemental damage. Your best BIRTHSIGNs to choose would either be the Mage. This gives you 50 magic with no drawbacks. This is really a great balanced pick for a spellcaster. The Apprentice is a little tricky. This will give you 100 magic, but you take double the magic damage. If you choose this sign, please pick a Breton for your race or you'll be in some serious trouble at times. And finally, the Atronach. This will give you an enormous 150 magic and spell absorption, but you don't get any natural magic regeneration. You'll pretty much need potions or other ways to absorb magic to make this one work. I don't recommend this sign for beginners. If you're new to Oblivion, I would pick the Mage if you want to go with the spellcaster. As far as the best attributes for a magic-based character, they are pretty simple and straightforward. We've got ourselves Intelligence, which will just give you more magic, and Willpower, which will help you regenerate magic faster. Your major skills are all pretty much going to be magic schools, so we've got ourselves starting out with Alchemy, for restoring magic and buff spells. So if you use the Atronach, this will be primarily important for you, as you'll need to constantly be making more potions to replenish that magic. We've got Alteration. This will give you utility spells like Shield, Water Breathing, and other things like that. Going on down, we've got Conjuration. This is pretty straightforward. This will summon allies, armor, and weapons for you. We've got Destruction. This is mainly going to be your school of offense. We've got Illusion Magic. This helps you crowd control and use stealth spells, so this would be great for you to move around and stay undetected when needed. We've got Mysticism. This is a really interesting school of magic that a lot of people don't think about, but this gives you Soul Trap, Detect Life, Dispel, and other things like that. And then finally, I like to finish up with Restoration, as healing is paramount in this game. If you can keep yourself alive, you'll never lose a fight. Something I would really like to note here is that Oblivion's all about creating your own interesting classes and just enjoying the experience of the game in new and interesting ways with every playthrough. If I've made a build here that you don't agree with, or something that you'd like to try differently but still fall into that category of style, go for it. Give it a shot. See how it works out. These builds are designed to help you level at a steady pace without over-leveling certain skills like acrobatics and athletics, so that way you won't scale too hard against the enemies. But realistically, this game can be played in any number of combinations for categories and characters, so please take it all with a grain of salt, have some fun with it in Cyrodiil, and let me know your favorite build in the comments.